Hi, so in today's video, it's the last part of the assembly of the cushion. So to save some time, I measured my finished block and my block came out at about 19 inches square. So I've cut another piece of plain white fabric, which is the same size. I've overlocked around all four sides of the front and this piece, which will be the back piece. If you don't have an overlocker, just use a zigzag stitch. It just helps neaten up your seams on the inside of your cushion. And then this is the top of my cushion with this block here in the top left hand corner. So I'm going to turn over my block and show you what I've done. I've turned over a ½ inch and pressed it with the iron on the bottom of my front and on the bottom of my back. And then I've come in 2 inches from either end and made a mark on the back and the front. So now I've put right sides together. I'm just going to bring in a couple of clips and clip this together at the bottom, and I'm going to sew from the outside edge up to that blue 2 inch mark along this ½ inch fold line. So I'm just using a regular straight stitch. I'm going to go backwards and forwards at the beginning and the end of the blue mark. Then I'm going to come to the other side and do exactly the same. So just sewing on the ½ inch fold line, starting at the blue mark. Okay, so this is what it's looking like now. So it's joined together by the 2 inches on either side of the bottom. You've got this section that's folded back and you've got this bit that's open. So this is the most tricky bit now, but if you take your time, it is easy to do. And this is why I advised right at the beginning of the quilt along to have a zip that was a lot bigger than the finished size of your cushion. So what you're going to do now, you're going to place your zip face down. So the right side of your zip is the side with the zipper pull. So that's going to go right side down. And you want the zipper teeth to line up with this center seam and gap. And I would position it so that the zipper pull is right out of the way for now. So it's not going to be easy to get all this in the view of the camera, but I'll try my best. So I'm going to line the zip up with this seam I've just sewn and where the gap is, where the 2 pieces of fabric are folded back. And I am actually going to pin this. So I'm going to position the teeth on that center line and put some pins in. And I'm just going to work my way down as best I can, lining the teeth up with the middle of that seam. So if you keep lifting it up, you can see where the teeth are. And then just try and get them so that they're down the middle. And then when you get so far, hold it in place and put a pin all the way through and just work your way down. And to be quite honest, this is a size 5 zip, which is wider than normal. And a size 3, which is about 1 inch wide, would be perfect. But this is what I had. So this is what I'm working with. So now I'm going to sew down on both sides of the zip all the way along as close to those teeth as possible. Just straight down both ends. And when you turn it over, your zip will be in there somewhere in that gap. Okay, so I've got my zipper foot on my machine. I've got it positioned close to these teeth and I'm just going to sew a straight line. Okay, so I don't like to sew over my pins, so as I was sewing one side of the zip, I removed the pins, so I've just put the pins back in. One thing I forgot to say is you need to don't start on your zip right at the edge of the outside of your fabric. Come in at least an inch and start sewing. So this kind of lifts up from the edge of the seam here. So from an inch all the way down, right down, and stop about an inch again from the bottom. And then do the same when you sew the other side of your zip. My first pin here is about an inch from the edge, so that's where I'm going to start sewing. Okay, so that's the zip all sewn in now. If you don't want to tackle a zip, I've got other videos on my channel showing how to do envelope back cushions. Just change your back piece into an envelope back cushion. So now what I'm going to do, okay, so I'm not sure how well you're going to see this, but what I forgot to do was move the zipper out of the way. So I'm going to have to unpick one side of my stitches just to get this zipper pull down here out of the way. But you know, these things happen. I'm going to leave it in the video, and then if it happens to you, you know how to rectify it. So I'm literally just going to take my seam ripper and just unpick these stitches just until I get to where this fabric is open. I think I'll probably be able to get away with just doing it on one side of the zip. I don't think I need it on both sides. So I've unpicked that. I can push the zip now so that the zip goes through that hole out of the way, and then I can pull it down out of the way down here. So now I just need to put this back under the machine where I've unpicked it, just sew that back down now. Okay, let's have a look how this is looking now. So I can just get rid of any stray bits of thread where I unpicked my stitches. And this is going to be on the bottom of your cushion, so you're not going to see it. So there's the zip now. So the zip works. And now it's just a case of putting the right sides together and sewing it all the way around. But you do need to make sure your zip is quite far open now, because obviously this needs to be turned inside out, and just, you know, so we don't have any problems. If we open the zip, then hopefully all will be, you know, well with the world. So I'm going to fold this over now and put right sides together. And because my pins are handy, I'm going to use my pins. So I'm just going to pin in a few places, just holding the cushion together. And because I've already overlocked all the seams, this is all, you know, going to be nice and neat and finished on the inside, just lining up all the edges. And then your zip, remember, only started from about an inch in. So basically what you need to do now is sew down this side along the bottom and up this side. Your zip will be out of the way, and you're just going to sew a straight line basically, and you can do a 1/4 inch if you want, you know, as you've done on everywhere else, or you can just leave it so that your stitch is in its regular position on your machine, whichever you prefer, which I think is around about, is it 3/8, something like that, or 5/8, I can never remember. So just keep your zip out of the way and sew around 3 sides. So I've put the regular foot back on my machine. I'm just going to open out that seam where the zip is, and I'm going to start on the side where the zip is. So I'm just going to put my foot down, start off, and follow the edge of the fabric. And I've set my machine to do a lock stitch at the end, but if yours doesn't do it, just do backwards and forwards at the beginning and the end, and then sew all the way around. And you will basically be sewing just to the left or just on the inside of your overlock stitches or your zigzag stitches. Just do a back tack at the end and finish, because that seam's already sewn together, because that's part of the 2 inches that I did earlier on in the process. So here we are with it all sewn together, all overlocked. Everything should be sewn together now. You've got your zip open. I'm going to put my hand in and open the zip. Before I cut the ends of the zip off, I'm just going to turn it inside out and just make sure that everything is okay. And then if it all looks okay, I'll flip it back and I'll cut those zip ends out of the way to get rid of them. So I'm just going to bring in my stylus that I use for poking out my corners. So if I close my zip, it all looks fine. I've still got a few blue marks on it that need hitting with some water, which is just the water erasable pen I was using. I don't know if I kept saying it was the air erasable pen, but if I just hit them with water, they will disappear. You could use the purple pen, the air erasable pen, the ScanNCut pen, but the reason I didn't use the air erasable pen is because they literally do disappear on their own, and I wasn't sure how long I was going to take, you know, in the making of this process, whether I'd get to be able to film it all in one go or whether I was going to have to stop and start. So I've got a bit of a stray thread there that I can cut off. But in the main, it all looks okay. So I'm just going to flip it back to the wrong side. And I'm going to cut off the zip. So just going to find some old scissors. So I'm going to leave my tails from my overlocker. I don't want to cut them off, but I'm just going to cut away the ends of the zip just to take away some of the bulk from inside the cushion. You can leave them if you want to, but I don't want them there, so I'm just going to chop them away. So let's flip this back out now, find a cushion pad for it. It is going to be a bit bulky in the corners, and that was another reason why I said cut your batting at least an inch smaller than your fabric, because it does help with this process. So I've not got a cushion pad handy, but I'll get one and I'll put the cushion in it and it'll make this nice and plump because I'm going to use a 20-inch cushion. But that's your finished project. That's your quilt along completed with your 4 blocks. That's the back of the cushion. Just needs pressing now. One thing I would say is when you're doing your quilt sandwich, if you've got a walking foot, that would be very handy. But I don't have one for my new brother's sewing machine, and I've quilted this and it's been fine. So it's, you know, it's not necessary to have a quilting foot. But I hope you like the project. Please give the video a thumbs up. I'll get a cushion pad, insert it into here, and then I'll take some pictures for the video and the blog post. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.